All right, the big day, everybody. See if it lives up to its hype. Markets have moved up um, erratically in anticipation of this. As many thinking that this is the last hike, if there is one at all. So has it used up, in my mind, has it used up some of its bullets? And in anticipation of this, and regardless, if it moves higher, it'll flip back down again. I guess we'll see it after 2 o'clock. Yeah, there you go. So the spider's up here and up against, well, we talked about this yesterday, where it could possibly go to this pivot up there. And you can see the seesaw action, with the deep retracements, followed by another deep retracement. And now it's up here at this pivot. And at the moment, it's at the top of that bar. Really, markets aren't doing anything here. So a major moving average, a relatively, well, so here's, we usually go over some concept about support, resistance, or trend. Right, look at this area here. And if you look at like maybe one of these volume charts that goes sideways over here, there'd probably be some kind of a spike along this area to show, this congestion over there. So one of the things that, there were many, many things at the beginning of charting that were confusing to me, baffling, was that you would see an area like this and say, oh, look at that large area of resistance there. And nothing news related, but I would just see how prices could go through it like nothing was there. But there'd be, a pivot, something like this there. And so I had to come up with the rules. So the rule was that once prices had tested that area, traded above and below, I viewed it as being neutralized. And that was, part of the thought process that allowed me to view something like this and have a bias that it could go through it, instead of thinking, oh, it's such a significant support area. So if you visualize it like that, and you see, well, you got this pivot there, but if it was able to go sideways, it could easily push through there, from this point of view. Now it is up against this 400 strike, and also the 4,000 strike in SPX, which has got that big open interest we've been talking about forever. It's kind of like pulls things back in a sense. It can get up above a ways, then it pulls it back down. It just got way down, it pulls it back up. And unless that changed dramatically overnight, which it decreased a little bit, but not much, I think it have a tendency to do the same. You get stuck there. All right, so we see nothing's happening here, just waiting. It's at resistance. Tech has been leading the way up, obviously. And now this is coming up. It's down a little bit, but coming up to this pivot high. So it's already moved from the bottom here almost to the top. And it certainly could take it out. It could take it out. From the bullish point of view, it's good that it consolidated like that for a couple of days versus going straight up. So it does leave a support area down here to mark off on your chart as being somewhat significant. If things begin to pull back, and it's the bottom of that bottoming tail bar. So when you get we call these correction bars, the prices are moving up and then it breaks below a low and comes back up again. And typically it does go up, and it went up a little bit, sometimes much more, but traders hesitant. And the weekly chart constructive to getting up to the top of the bigger part of the range. So we've had small trading ranges within, overall big trading range. going on for almost a year now. And the sporadic type of price action that we've seen. All right, S&Ps, just a mess. Just an overall mess, close to that resistance. And so ranges have contracted a little bit. Now they're on my chart over there about 67 points. But there is the potential for larger moves on today, possibly. Most of I haven't looked at it in a while, but years ago, I went and looked up, I don't know, maybe like 10 or 20 different Fed announcement days and marked them on my chart and say, what happened after that? And majority of the time, other than looking intraday, whipping around, nothing significant happened. Things tended to go exactly what they were doing prior to that. And what we have now is this is in a downtrend, right? Within a big sideways trend. It's in a downtrend here. And going to test some resistance. So based on the average ranges, that would put it up near that pivot from yesterday's close. And that puts it around 40.80. And Jake is helping me out here with 41.05. That's good. That's good. And you know what? Today being Fed Day, I think it's a good idea to get on board that call spread almost immediately. We'll see which way things open in a minute or two, because you could be out of it. Could be out of it before 2 o'clock. And down below, 38.85. It's close. It would be reasonable to do them both and look to be out before 2 o'clock. And well, let's just, I didn't move that. That has to go up here. So 38.85 would be well below what the average ranges are. And so a couple of days ago, the ranges were at one point almost 90 points. So let's just drag this 80 to 90 points. 38.85 would be down here. 100 points. I would say that's a no-brainer. That would be shenanigans. 20 to 21 range. What does that mean, McGraw? Volatility index? We say between 21 and 23. Is that what you're saying? I think that's where it's at. This is just another picture of the mess that we're dealing with here. But I just mark off highs and lows. Anyway, we got those are the levels. The downside should be a no-brainer up until 2 o'clock. So the 10-year, nothing much happening there. That's a 30-year actually. 10-year came down to support, bounced up, same old, look to the left, bounces off support. We'll see how far it gets. And whipping back and forth, which is what's been happening. I suspect nothing going to be different here. This has been crushed. So it hasn't even gotten above any of these highs. So speculative stocks, no one's running there. It's just stabilized because it's fallen so far. The Dow, moved up a little bit. The void is waiting below. Nothing special going on there. The dollar down a little bit. Gold up a little bit. Silver up a little bit. I don't even think it's worth the look, but we'll look. Nothing happening. Bitcoin I don't know why this went up, other than people just pulling their money out of banks and thinking this was safer. And that's a wild one for sure. But now I've got this big bottom, so any pullbacks will be viable unless they, for some reason, falls way down. So things like any of the stocks that are related to Bitcoin should be buyables on corrections. And yeah, the bad things, there's things like I mentioned earlier in the week, airlines, cruise lines, metals, all of that stuff dropping that way. And of course, the good thing, the silver lining is, well, this came off the bottom of the trading range and now it's at the top of the trading range. So, what I first mentioned when I started, the market's moving from support to resistance. We got this news coming. It's kind of like they've used up their bullish bullets. So I view that as potentially being that it'll be unlikely that they move much higher, even if the market gets what it wants as far as the Fed. Honestly, I don't know that we know what the market wants at this point. Earlier it'd be like, don't do anything. Right? Stop raising interest rates. Now it's like, well, if you don't raise interest rates, you're admitting the debacle with the banks and the belief that things are now economics are in trouble. So they backed off versus them saying, hey, we're staying the course. I mean, inflation is still what? Last I looked was like 6%. And that's miles away from the target. So we'll see what happens. Got a few hours to go. To you, Dan.
All right, good morning.
The market might freak out either way, Rob. Rob is saying, interrupting, said if they stay 25 hike, though, if they don't raise, market might freak out. Well, yeah, that's what I said. There, it'd be an admission that what's going on here, things are going to get worse. And the market would say, oh, if it's going to get worse, stocks will go down. If they do the 25, that's kind of a bet that, hey, we're doing what we supposed to do, fighting inflation, and we think regardless of what's happened with the banks, things will be okay. So we'll see.
Yeah, I am so sick of hearing the media talk about it. It's like, can you just shut up and we'll trade it at 2 o'clock and 2:30? So I'm looking forward to that. Hey, Greg, first day on my new laptop here. So
wow, that was an epic.
I know I know it was a pain, but I think I got everything dialed in. Everything looks good here. All right, so NEOG here. This is a beautiful inverse head and shoulders that you found for us yesterday. That's on the list. We only have two put spreads on TTD, but that looks fantastic if it closes like this in Southeast. I'm trying to get us on this as a core long. Roku, I said I like. Sure, Robert. Yeah, I mean, you're either going to be, I keep things simple, right? You're going to be happy or sad. It's a binary outcome. But look at Roku, daily, weekly, monthly. It's very interesting. I'm just not jumping ahead of the Fed meeting. Apple, we're long call options. We sold a third into strength into the close, break even stop. All right, where's my earnings trades here? Nike. Do you remember talking about happy or sad? Do you remember me saying this, Robert? And like the bulls are going to be happy or sad today on the opening price on earnings, and it's gapping under that. So 15-minute trading range, but that's a bearish gap. Today's MT live is shock patterns, and this is a shock pattern. you know, any gap over or under a wide range bar, negating it is a shock. That doesn't mean we got a tradable event. We got to go through the rest of our checklist, but if that can't bounce, it looks like a call spread. Now these bulls are happy. Look at the volume into earnings. That, wow, that's a shock for sure. Anybody who shorted call options or spreads into that is there's sphincters was in overdrive right now. The expected move was $2.38. And this is gapping up 9. That's a monster gap, but there's I mean, I 30-minute low, I fade big moves. So just as a vanilla approach, it has to set up, of course, but a vanilla approach for me, the big gap's gonna juice up the call options. 30-minute low, sell call spread that expires Friday. HQY had earnings 61. That's a bullish gap with a void. That would be a no-brainer put spread if there's any juice. Area here opening flat. 30-minute high could be day trade. It's a bullish end of day base there on the 15. Air, I don't see any pattern yet. EPAC gapping up 28.50. That's bullish. We'll watch it. VNAT gapping up 350. That's a bottoming pattern. That is a void. Let's keep an eye on that. I'm gonna get rid of Playa. Let's put VNet there. Ollie North gapping up. The gap's too big. Look at that. I mean, to me, I think, you know, if you held into earnings, I think you got rocks in your head not to sell at least half. Big old gap to resistance. You know, Wolf 915, 30-minute low, and bear call credit spread. YouTube, I don't. What are you? We'll see. I don't have WhatsApp open. I told you there's going to be some speed bumps here with my new computer. That's the problem. I don't have WhatsApp. I mean Telegram. Telegram open. That's why I didn't see you. All right, here we go. Now I see you. Tesla relative strength. Absolutely. We were talking about that yesterday. The nice gap. That's what we call a minor 180. That red bar suggested lower prices. Then you have a gap breakout. Look at that 15-minute chart. Absolutely, that's relative strength, John. Raul AI. Yeah, we're already long. But yeah, absolutely. It's a bullish turn on major support in the rising 50. Absolutely. Carvana, are they still in business? $9.90. Wow, what got that thing going? It's not earnings, to my knowledge. I didn't see it earnings, but that's an igniting gap, sure. That's going on the list for you know, whenever I have a directional, by definition, it's also a put spread candidate. Just got to go through the checklist of liquidity, premium, etc. But sure. Zulu Hotel is in a power downtrend. I got enough to watch. I mean, it could be Day trade bounce, shoe carnival. It's down a lot, but looks lower all time frames. EH gapping down 920, but no pattern. You're gone. Gapping down 550. You're gone. This one could be a monster bottoming pattern, but it has to get above yesterday's high, of course. I'm going to set an alarm at 428. And so I like these that gap down, because then they're only going to trigger if they're strong, and then it's an additional bullish attribute that it negates the bear gap down. All right, here's a couple others from yesterday. Greg's dog Spot gapping up, pulling in. That could be a long on a controlled pullback. That looks good. KBH, absolutely. You know, it's another form of shock pattern. It just, you know, it's a 180 reversal with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside bars. Yeah, that looks fantastic. Now it's going to move with Fed decision, anything interest rate related. But yeah, looks great. Going on the list. SFM. Put spread candidate, if there's any juice. KNW. Look at that beautiful closing breakout. You know, this is a great example of demand. It's up a lot. It's up from 135 to 195. But look at that. This red bar right there after that Bear Island reversal totally suggested lower prices. 180 reversal, gap up. That's strong chart. Now GPI is a sell setup. I'm going to set an alarm at 208. We scan the entire XRT sector, which is retail. This was in it. Cal looks horrible. ANF looks horrible. Well, it looks horrible to a bull. To me, it looks beautiful as a range expansion breakdown. I'm just going to set an alarm at 2580. Just if it gaps up, it won't go off. AIG looks great as a Climo with multiple bar term, big old void. Some of us in the green room were trading that, and I kept it on the list. It looks long. PRI is another one, light volume, but it looks, you know, this would be a good A/B test, which I define as the optometrist, which one's better. They're both tradable, but PRI is stronger just because it held more of an uptrend. Look at the rising 50. And I got a buy set up on the weekly. So I already got an alarm on that, but I like it. SWKS, I'm going to set an alarm at just eyeballing 117.10. That's you know, it's a little bit like that KBH, Alex, but again, the A/B test, I know they're different sectors, all that jazz. But this one's stronger because it held the 50. 117.10 alarm. Set. These oil stocks, there's so many patterns that have climbos like this and multiple bar turns. So that not a nice gap. That's a put spread idea. I mean, KRE is one too, but it's just a shallow retracement. XLF is actually stronger. So XLP at a nice close with a void. John, I know you like put spreads. Let's keep an eye on maybe selling the 119s. That's a nice pattern. I'll keep an eye on oil at the open. And this is a duplicate. Hog had a nice gap on an upgrade yesterday. It's in the bottoming process. But what I like about it is it made a new low here and closed with a bottoming tail. And now all of this is a W read. It's not a classic W bottom just because of the way it bounced and so forth, but it's still a bullish retest with a monster void. So that I'm going to set an alarm 3960. Bulls were confident into the close yesterday. And the fact that we're opening flat here is, in my opinion, actually bullish. That they're not any new information that might have come out, whether regional banks or Fed rumors and so forth, it's not scaring them. HCA, we're long already in trail mode. Alex mentioned bots yesterday, top of the range though. Adobe just been on fire. Open. Greg, you mentioned this on the other day, another inverse head and shoulders with a void. So for a little stock, this is nice. I'll put that in a window. I've been watching a number of these regional banks. That's a nice turn. It's a climb out multi-bar turn. WBS. Frick. Frick has been in the spotlight the most for needing help and possibly being the next one on the chopping block. And I saw a news blip today that they went to Lazard, I think, for some consultation. TTD up alarm. We have a put spread. This looks fantastic. Just gonna. I would give this as a long, but for Fed day. GPI alarm went off. No, it didn't. I don't see it moving, but that's a sell setup. Look at Nike bottom right moving. It's already more than 50% into the real body, so buyers are stepping up. Amazon, yeah, that Amazon's it's a daily and weekly 1, 2, 3 if it closes like this. Absolutely, I like it a lot. HCA, look at this VNet here slamming to fill the gap, so I don't like those. HCA up alarm, we're just in trail mode. IWM has an ugly 5-minute bar right now. Ugly. IWM. So, totally looks like it wants to head for part of the gap fill.